Hello there. Welcome back to The Secret Project. When last we spoke, I detailed the 3 great problems separating me from total success in my journey to play in the Rocky Mountain Open, the largest Warhammer 40k tournament in my local area. Today, I intend to address and solve the first of these great problems. Let's get into it. The problem to solve for the day is that despite having a massive collection of 40k models in a range of different factions, I don't actually have an army, which for 40k means an established and cohesive group and models and unit brought together for the purpose of being played at the table together. I have lots of models, but I don't have a chosen army, but I do know what I want my army to be, at least in vibe. To keep it simple, I have discovered the 3 main criteria for what I'm looking for when I play a Space Marine army. 1. I like a melee army. No fancy shooting, no worrying about line of sight or if a unit is in cover, just an honest-to-God sword fight in the far future. So, when looking for an army rule and a detachment rule, we should be looking for things that enable those sword fights. 2. I like elite infantry. Now for context, the most basic unit in the Space Marine roster is the humble, handsome, and handy Assault Intercessor. They are simple, they are expendable, and they are cheap, coming in at 75 points for a unit of 5 or 150 points for a unit of 10. And most infantry units in the Space Marine roster follow this format, what I will call 5x10. This is a key indicator of a more basic profile. But 5x10 is not the only infantry size. If 5x10 denotes basic infantry, then 3x6 denotes elite infantry, with better profiles, stronger weapons, more interesting abilities, sharper jawlines, and pairing well with point number 1, most elite infantry is melee-centric, as are point 3 mounted units. Okay, this one needs a preface. Mounted units are a silly concept. Yes, they tend to have really fun abilities and profiles, often with double the movement speed of their unmounted counterparts, which alone is a huge deal in a game where movement is key, but the idea of a Space Marine riding a motorcycle or other things is inherently silly, but that's kind of why I love it. We'll talk about this more when it's relevant, but just keep this in mind for the future. And hey, as a small added bonus, mounted units tend to also be in a 3x6 unit size that loves to get right into the thick of it. Okay, with the search criteria identified, let's explore my 4 main options for potential armies. Potential partner number 1, Codex Space Marines. There is something so tempting about the default, about the unnamed, about the raw and unrefined, molded only by your shaping and intent. And this is what Codex Space Marine offers. No official names, no chapter-specific models, just you and a beautiful blank canvas to draw your will upon, to create your own, entirely unique to you, homebrew Space Marine chapter, and also, holy shit, getting that +1 to wound boost on an already very powerful Oath of Moment army rule is a serious selling point. The big pulls for Codex are the elite infantry, the Blade Guard veterans, and the Outrider squads, those aforementioned Space Marine on motorcycle. More important still is that here in Codex Space Marines, we have the Stormlance Task Force detachment rule, giving you an insane amount of movement potential. It won't let you necessarily hit any harder, but it will always make sure you get where you want to be going, and like I said, that movement's a big deal. Next, potential partner number 2, the Blood Angels. Blood Angels are an interesting temptation because they don't really have any models I love. What they have, however, is Liberator Assault Group. If Stormlance is strong because it lets you get across the board in a way that's remarkably effective but doesn't help you hit harder, Liberator Assault Group is the other side of that coin. with an army rule that gives your units +1 to their number of attacks, as well as +2 to the strength characteristic of those attacks whenever they land a charge. So it won't necessarily help you get to where you're going, but if you manage to get there anyways, you're gonna make a real mess of whatever is on the other end of that sword fight. Next, potential partner number 3, the Dark Angels. Now, if you're particularly aware of 40k as a game, you might look at Dark Angels and think, yes, of course, he loves to move fast. He loves mounted units. He's gonna talk about the Company of Hunters detachment and the Raven Wing, and you'd almost be correct. What really pulls me towards Dark Angels is the Inner Circle Companions, the faction's 3x6 elite infantry, winners of the bronze medal in the 2024 Voters' Choice for Best Models, as well as the Wrath of the Rock detachment rule. Without getting into the nitty-gritty of how strength versus toughness works in this particular moment, this rule essentially means that any Space Marine infantry or mounted unit is 17% less likely to be threatened by an incoming attack should those friendly units have a disadvantageous defensive profile against that attack. This means that those elite profiles on both mounted and infantry models are that much harder to take off the board, and in theory, it really helps sell that idealized image of Space Marines as walking tanks, casually strolling through enemy gunfire as they approach the things that are about to be corpses. Next, and final, potential partner number 4, the Space Wolves. Oh, Space Wolves. My first love, my main squeeze. I adore what we could be together. Emphasis on the could be. The Space Wolves are home to my uncontested favorite unit in the entire game, the Thunderwolf Cavalry. You want cool mounted units? Oh, you maybe want a Marine on a motorcycle? Go fuck yourself, White Scars. Look at this! If a Space Marine riding a wolf the size of a car doesn't absolutely blow your back out, then you can get right the fuck out of my house. And with the new codex released last year, Space Wolves also received their own 3x6 elite infantry with the Wolfguard headtakers, and each of those headtakers can bring their dog to work. They all love to be in melee, they're all elite, with cool vibes and fun models, and they have multiple detachments they can synergize well with, being able to run that aforementioned Stormlance task force, or something like Saga of the Beast Slayer, giving them extra lethality into priority targets. And yet, to me, they just used to be so much more. You see, Thunderwolf Cavalry used to have multiple leaders that could be attached to them, and they were one of the most significant threats in the entire extended Space Marine roster for it. But with the release of the 10th edition Codex for Space Wolves back in 2025, every single one of those leaders was retired from tournament legality, along with nearly 33% of the entire faction roster. And while the Thunderwolves did survive that cull, they did so in a weird way. You see, there's actually 2 kinds of Space Marines currently around. While most of the Space Marine line these days is the newer modern form on the model of a Space Marine, known as Primaris, some of the Space Marine line still exists as the older form, known as Firstborn. In the recent years, Games Workshop has slowly, but unfailingly, either been updating Firstborn models to Primaris scale, or retiring those Firstborn models altogether. And despite a massive range refresh and update for the Space Wolves in 2025, wherein the Thunderwolf leaders were retired, the Thunderwolves themselves, still in Firstborn scale, were left totally untouched. No new models, but not retired either. So, we just have no idea what's happening with them. Is there a second release wave coming that includes updated models for all the other Space Wolf units left in Firstborn? Or will they be retired alongside their leaders in a future update? Despite being my favorite faction, despite having my favorite units, I'm just so nervous to get more attached to those units because I don't know if I'll end up being punished for that attachment. So what to do? Well, let's narrow it down. I think I can break up with partners 1 and 2. While I like what they bring to the table, I just don't value it as highly as I value the things provided by partners 3 and 4, which, of course, is the real difficulty. I adore the Dark Angels for what they are, but I adore the Space Wolves for what they were, and maybe could be again. Or maybe the last remnant of the things I loved about Space Wolves will just disappear one day, leaving me with nothing. So do I lean in? Or do I hold tight to the memories of what was? I think I have time to do both. I have 78 days until the Rocky Mountain Open, and if I dial in on just these 2 themes, I think I can learn to play both. Painting 2 entire armies is going to be more effort and more work, but honestly, I need all the experience and practice of painting anyways, and besides, it'll let me get practice in with both the thing I love and a bit of a backup should something happen to the thing that I love. It's a perfect recipe for a bunch of growth, which is what this season is all about. Speaking of growth, let's check in with Jim Thane. Jim Thane, how's the gym? Wow, I don't know if you got that. The lighting just went awful. All right, hey, Desk Thane, thanks for checking in. Jim Thane here at the gym, about to go to the gym to do the gym stuff at the gym. This is going to be run number 3. The time to beat is, I want to say, like 45 something? No, maybe? Let me actually check that real quick. Clutch it in 1, 45.37. And the weigh-in that we're looking to be under is 199.2. I will take 50%. As long as I get better grades today than last time, as long as I've improved on one of those, I'm happy. Let's get into it. We got success on both fronts. I cut like 40 seconds off my 5-mile time, and tonight's weigh-in was 198.4, down from the, I believe, 199.2. I'll put the updated numbers here-ish. Thanks, Jim Thane. And thanks to all of you. If I'm being totally honest, that first video from earlier this week, I was expecting maybe 100 views on it if I got lucky. I know 1,000 views is small, even relative to my main channel, but you guys got me giggling and kicking my feet and twirling my hair with all the support I'm getting. By this time next week, I hope to be talking about the full composition of my new Dark Angels and Space Wolves army, and maybe, just maybe, we can talk about some paint schemes for them all. I'll see you then.